Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa, joined by Earl for our tactical debrief. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's always set you up for the good weekend after a Villa win, doesn't it?
Certainly does. It sets you up for that season when you get that opening day win as well. So, tactical debrief is going to be like no other. We have, in my opinion, and I think you guys at home will back it up, I think we've gone up levels with this now. So, tactical debrief, we go in depth on the performance with stats, with slides, with the data created by Earl, all his own graphics. So, top quality stuff to come. Like target, let's go 1,000. Hopefully you all enjoy this episode. So comment your thoughts, subscribe to the channel if you are new. So before we get into it, Earl, the performance as a whole, how did you make of it against West Ham?
Yeah, I was quite impressed, to be fair. Thought it's a tough away day, West Ham. I thought we had pretty good control. I mean, the early goal obviously helped, but yeah, I thought we played well across the board pretty much.
I mean, going into it after the pre-season, there was a lot of chat about that pre-season and it didn't really come into fruition, did it? Because this team is very, very good. It's coached by an elite manager. The players all stepped up. One player in particular stood out. He was absolutely unbelievable. So we're going to go straight into the stats then. And we're going to start off with something that I like to look at sort of at the start when I start analysing a performance is the average positions. And I think they can tell a story in themselves. So I'm going to let Earl tell his story. So what did you make of the average positions? This is from the first half as well.
Yeah, so we've broken it down first half now, and then we'll see second half in a minute. But yeah, I think you can see there's quite a good structure from the back four. Fullbacks kept the width nicely, and then we had, as you can see, all the players there in the middle, allowing us to build up through midfield as well. Bailey ended up being the furthest forward. He had quite a few runs in behind. So yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's again, it shows the formation. It shows where the players are averagely positioned, and I think the big thing for me is when I looked at it to start with was that it did look like a double pivot in pre-season. What we saw was Tielemans and Onana on the same line, quite compact together on the same line. This is more of a traditional double pivot with Onana being that deepest line player and Tielemans being that player that's in that little bit more of an advanced area. I think sometimes as well with a Villa performance, you'll see either two different things. You'll either see the right back tucked in a little bit more and the left back further forward. But I think first half, you can see that both left and right are quite high as well. So, that showed that they've got that attacking intent as well. And here we've got the second half one. So again, you can see a little bit of a difference. You can see Onana sort of pushing a little bit further forward. So do you think there's anything of note in this one?
Yeah, so second half, obviously, as you can see, added in these subs in gold as well. I think quite a big difference from the first half to the second half. You can see Morgan Rogers, number 27. In the first half, he was coming to collect the ball quite deep, to be fair. Average position there just above the halfway line, collecting the ball deep and making those driving runs forward. Second half, like you say, Onana was able to push forward a bit more, and that meant in turn Rogers was a bit further forward as well.
Yeah, and I think what I like about this as well is McGinn's position in the first half was decent, but you could see a little bit more of a box midfield in the second half with Ramsey, Tielemans, Onana, and Rogers as well. So it looked like we've got a little bit more width in that second half, which I think is something worthy of noting as well. One of my favourite graphics in football is the passing networks. I really like the passing networks, and you can also see the combinations and partnerships. And I think one big partnership that I liked, especially on this one, was the Torres to Digne. You know, we know that our left-hand side is all about offering that width with the left back. And I think you've got 16 combinations here between Torres and Digne. So for me, that's a real big partnership. And I think whoever plays at left back this season, that's an area that I think we're really going to start to see that number increase. So any partnerships here that stand out for you?
Yeah, so what we've got here with the passing network is just based on the starting 11. They played the most minutes together. The arrows there, obviously depicting the passes, have only shown those passes that had a higher combination than 5 passes, and then the brightness of the arrow kind of indicates how many times the players have passed to each other. So the brightest ones that you can see there are 10 or more combinations essentially. And yeah, what we saw there on the left is a really bright triangle forming between Pau, Digne, who got on the ball quite a lot this game, and obviously Tielemans in the middle as well.
Yeah, I really liked that partnership, and Villa's passing game was just, it was explosive at times as well, which was absolutely fantastic. So early thoughts then, because I know there was a big talking point on Luis leaving. There's a hole that felt like it needed filling. And the double pivot for me was absolutely brilliant. I thought we were so good. I thought we won that midfield battle. I thought it was dominant. I thought they complemented each other really, really well. So what were your thoughts on the double pivot before we get into the numbers?
Well, in terms of Luis, it was Tielemans really stepping into his role, wasn't he? And I thought he did a really good job, Tielemans. And then obviously partnered with Onana as well. He brings that different dimension that we've been lacking. I think we'll come on to it next, but Onana was absolutely everywhere across the pitch for me. Ball winning, incredible.
Yeah, I mean, his stats were like incredible. You've just mentioned ball recovery, like 6 ball recoveries there. He's fantastic. And I loved his interview. I loved his celebrations. I love that he mentions Emery as if like that is the biggest factor. And I think for Villa fans, it's one of our biggest factors because we absolutely love Emery. And I just think what a debut. Like he showed a bit of absolutely everything. And I think he's going to be a player that grows. And I mean, when I was on the overlap and Scholes and was saying, well, I don't really get Onana. And I was like, guys, he's going to coach him. He's going to develop him. The Everton Onana is not the Onana we've wanted to see at Aston Villa. We've seen a player and a profile that we can enhance. And the early signs here were fantastic. So talk to me about Onana.
Yeah, I just want to say with this graphic here, I've kind of shown all where it's successful duels and unsuccessful. This is not normal. Basically, we wouldn't have seen this last season, honestly. The amount of times he's won the ball and just all over the pitch as well. Just want to stress that this is very good what we're seeing on the screen right now.
What makes it so good then? Why do you think he's able to do this? Is it just because he's so good?
Yeah, he covers the ground so well, doesn't he? I think like you can see he's just all over the pitch, and just winning the ball back. And you absolutely need someone like that in your side who can get the ball back when you lose it.
Yeah, and I think one of the other big aspects of his game as well, which you can see from this one, is 96.8% passing accuracy. Not all of his passes in this game are safe. There's a lot of forward passes as well. There's a lot of sort of quick thinking passes, which really impressed me in this game as well. This isn't a player that's just sitting deep and sort of continually knocking it sideways to a player that's just got easy options. He was actually like playmaking a little bit at times, and I just felt like his whole performance. I think when you sign a player, some players just take time, and I think some of the players that we've probably signed this summer may take a bit of time, but Onana's just like straight in there. I'm the main man. Like, I love his celebration. Like, how I read his celebration was like, this is my time now. And like, he put his crown on. Like, I was just like, the king has arrived. Like, this is Onana's time. And yeah, I thought he was absolutely class. So talk to me about this graphic. What does this one show?
This is just showing all of his touches, whether it's a touch, a pass, a tackle, header, whatever it might be. This is just all of his touches. So it's color coded. The white touches are called sparse touches, or they're not kind of spread out, not close to any other touches really. And then we've got medium in your orange, and then red is your high density, just meaning that it's had lots of touches within the same area. And then I've done a bit of a bubble around kind of the main area of Onana's influence in this game. So kind of where the majority of his touches came within that bubble.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Right. So we're going to go now and we're going to have a look at something that I highlighted before the game. And while this was going on, I highlighted that surrounding of the goalkeeper. And I spoke before the game that this is an area that I wanted Villa to be really progressive with, because the numbers last season had us like, we weren't great from defending set pieces. And I think scoring from set pieces is something that, although that we've been creative last season, we had some really creative ones and they were fun to watch, and they were very neat. They were like nearly set pieces that came off. Like, this interested me as soon as I saw this when we started crowding the keeper. And when this went in here, this block, we had a blocker in there, and then it allowed Onana to get that run. I was just over the moon that I saw a powerful player running in and attacking a corner, and I just thought it was fantastic. And again, it set the tone for Onana. But Earl, it's important that we score goals from set pieces, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely crucial. I think the timing of it as well just settled the nerves into the game, into the season. But yeah, set pieces are going to be massive for us on both ends of the pitch. It looks kind of like an easy goal, you could say. When I saw it happen, I was like, wow, well that was easy. But when you break it down and look at every single person in the every single person in the box there has done their job and executed it to the T. Bailey blocking and Tielemans' delivery, Onana making the run. All the pieces coming together. And then he ran straight over to McPhee, didn't he? So that was good to see.
It is good to see, because what generally happens is when set pieces go bad, it's like, what does McPhee do? Like, he doesn't do anything. But then when it goes well, I never see McPhee get any praise whatsoever. So I think it's vitally important that McPhee gets that praise. And, we've got a player in there now that we can utilise. And I think sometimes, you might not see Onana being the player that's always running in there, getting his... we can start to set a few traps early on as well, where that they look like they should be marking Onana, and then someone drifts into space. Like, we've got these options now to be really, really creative. So I want to touch on another player that I felt had a very, very good game. I think there's areas in the game that he could possibly improve on, which I think we're going to get into. But Morgan Rogers, doing this in the game was phenomenal. Like, driving forward, there was so many times in the game where we had 3-on-3s, and Rogers was that player that was sort of just driving forward, finding space through the lines as well. We've got the opportunity here where the area I think he probably will walk off the pitch thinking, I could have had a goal today. Like his finishing could have been a little bit better. This one, he just doesn't really connect with it. But again, we've got him driving forward as well. This is when McGinn starts to get that early chance as well. But you can see he's bringing two players out of dragging them out of position. We've got a 3-on-4. You know, this is where Villa come into life with their fast and direct play. We then got the opportunity where McGinn gets sort of two chances. Probably should have done a bit better with the second one. I think that opportunity was, you know, an area that you don't want to miss chances, do you? That's the big thing, especially at this level. You know, you look at Ipswich against Liverpool and you think, God, they did so well, Ipswich. But if you don't take them chances, they're going to put one in the back of the net, and that's what Liverpool did against Ipswich. So it's a fine line and a big learning curve in the Premier League, and we've seen it so often. We've got, you know, the next one, beautiful ball from Matty Cash into Leon Bailey. Bailey rounds the keeper, hits the post. You know, that first half spell, Villa were you know, really good, and I think it was impressive to see us sort of not on the counter, but sort of like just that quick fire, sharp passing. So Rodgers' performance, Earl, what did you make of it?
Yeah, very, very good, I thought. Like I mentioned before, I'm just seeing from the clips there, just coming back on towards the halfway line, picking up the ball, finding the space, and then he had the beating of West Ham's midfield. He didn't have the legs to run with him, did he? Did they? And it's what, you know, defenders don't like that. You know, players running at them with pace, and they've got to run backwards, and you've got Bailey on one side, and you've got Watkins, and they've got to worry about, you know, two dangerous players either side as well. So yeah, I thought it was a good performance from Rodgers, but he does have another level to give, and I think he will give it.
Yeah, I think just that finishing. I think if he'd have got that goal, I think he'd have had like such a standout performance. But he's been Villa's bright spark in pre-season, and I think he put in a real good performance. It was brilliant to see, and hopefully he can build on it. So next up, we're going to have a little look at the penalty, Earl. And we'll start off firstly, and this is something that I like to do when I look at goals. I'm not one to ever look at sort of like the last phase of the goal and then pick the player that's to blame, either for marking a player running off. I like to go back a little bit to always think of how can this goal potentially be avoided. I think, you know, goals can be avoided a lot earlier than before they go into the back of the net. And just something that I picked up on was this was the ball that initially went into Matty Cash. And for me, I'm looking at the line, and I watched the interview that Emery did before one of the Europa Conference League games, and he was talking about this line, and he was talking about the importance of each player having a reference point for the player that's in front of them. And I just look at Matty Cash's position before this ball hit Souček, and I'm just thinking, could he have just been in this position here? And I think it would have allowed Cash to deal with this a little bit. I think obviously Cash is looking, you know, he's got behind the shoulder here. There's a little bit of an overload behind Cash. But I just think positionally, he's a little bit off here. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think his positioning should have been where I think that circle should be, or do you think he's in the right area?
It's fine margins, like you can see, but it's a matter of a yard or two. And the thing is, he's the player on the opposite side, so he's the one that can see all the way down the line. So that he should be able to see the line, and he should be a couple of yards deeper in there. He's obviously worried about Souček, who's the danger man for from across. He's got Kudus, I think that is overlapping him as well. But yeah, if that starting position is, and it is, like I say, fine margins. If he's 2 yards better off, you might be able to deal with the initial cross a bit better. Or
yeah, I just think that there's obviously a mismatch there anyway within like the height anyway. Like, Cash is a lot smaller than what Souček is, and I just think if he can just get that little bit of a yard, then he's in that better position to deal with it. And I think when you see the challenge, although I don't think it's a penalty. Like I think because he gets the touch for me, I think you can see here that when he gets that touch, Cash is the player for me that's in control of the ball basically, and then I think you get that slight tangle. But I think if he's a better position, he wouldn't be in this scenario where he's sort of like scrambling. So I think it is fine. Mike, do you think that is a penalty or not?
Not for me, and I don't think. They said on commentary he got the touch, but it wasn't a deliberate play of the ball or something like that. I don't
so what is it then?
I don't see how that stands up. It was the explanation more than anything for me. It didn't really explain why it's a penalty from that.
Definitely, and it's just frustrating when you see those decisions and the wording of it. And I've noticed that you can follow that account, can't you, on Twitter or X, whatever. I call it Twitter still, and they put like a little phrase of like what's happened, and I noticed that all of like the comments are switched off because like obviously they're just gonna like keep getting absolutely hammered after every single one of them. So I think it's not a penalty for me. I think Cash is in control of it, although I think his positioning it could potentially have been a little bit better. But like you say, it's fine margins, isn't it? It's just one of them. But I think second half again, we were good. We were driving forward. We've got this. I think this was a real good bit of play from Bailey to he's sort of like. He tries a little bit of a step over and it doesn't quite work, and he gets it back under control. We go to Rodgers. We lay off Tielemans. Tielemans has his shot blocked. And again, Rodgers, although he's sort of like leaning back a little bit, I kind of think another chance that Rodgers had, and he could have absolutely buried it. And for me, Villa fans, this is the image that is vitally, vitally important, because this is Unai Emery's Aston Villa on a iPad. I was going to say a piece of paper, but on an iPad, this is what we are. This is what we want to do. And I think the most important part of this is this player here, Maatsen, second half. And why it's so important is because this is the area that we really want this season, especially Maatsen and Luke Dean, to really, really be exploiting. And why it's so important as well. So you've got your three centre halves, your three defenders. You've got Cash tucked in a little bit. You've got your double pivot here that are protecting, that are screening. And the big part about our left back and what we want to do is we want to have 5 attacking players. We want a front 5. And in possession, when we're building up, it's to get into this situation here. It's to work openings so that our right-sided player or our left-sided player can exploit, can get forward. And then in turn, you've then got your runners that can be going through here. You've got runners. You've got... I just think it's a fantastic image, and it's the start of the winning goal. And I think what an image this is, because Pau plays that beautiful pass. So, Earl, talk to me about the image. Talk to me about the goal.
Yeah, like you say, positionally, it's picture perfect, isn't it? It's what everyone's looking for. When everyone's building up their preferred lineup, this is the shape that everyone's doing. I think West Ham, I think they'll be disappointed with this goal, to be honest. I don't know how you're giving Pau Torres that much space on the ball, because he's going to make something happen. Maatsen holding the width very well, and that pass was on a few times, not just for this goal. It was on a few times, and we forced them into a back five because they just couldn't figure out the width once Maatsen came on. But yeah, I mean, it's the amount of times I've watched this goal today. Picture perfect pass from Pau over the top. Lovely cushion pass from Maatsen. Good vision from Ramsey. And then Duran hammers it home.
He does hammer it home. But yeah, it's the surprising thing that I find is the amount of teams that allow Pau to have the ball. The amount of teams that don't press Pau and stop him from doing this is, I feel like it's like absolutely mental. But like you say, I've watched this goal numerous times, probably over 50 times today, and you spot something new every time. But you know, I put a tweet out and I was like, we need to talk about that Maatsen touch because it was exquisite. People were like, yeah, but what about the Ramsey cross? And I'm like, I'm not talking about the cross. I'm talking about how good the touch from Maatsen was. But it was absolutely like a world-class touch because it was just the weight of it just set up Ramsey to run into. And yeah, it was a fantastic cross and vision from Ramsey. And like you say, who else to finish it but Duran? But you know, the Duran movement as well. He sort of takes a step away, doesn't he? And he finds that little bit of like, you know, you can see him here. He's on his way there, but he sort of cuts back a little bit, and it's just a wonderful finish. And the power's just far too much for the keeper, and Duran wheels away, and he's. Celebration was great and really pleasing. But, you know, if you go back to the starting point of where we are, and that's just a well-oiled machine. That is a team that knows its position, that knows where it wants to work to get to. It's got the balance and the depth with the midfield. It's class. And one thing as well, if you look here, Lopetegui nearly misses a good goal. Look, you know, if we look here, Lopetegui, he's not paying attention, but you know, he's not watching that ball that's gone into Maatsen. So yeah, Lopetegui definitely not paying attention there. But yeah, great goal, great finish. We touched on it, and we just spoke a little bit about Pau. So if we just have a little look, do you want to just talk us through some of Pau's numbers as well?
Yeah. So back to the touches chart here, and yeah, 67 touches, so quite a lot for Pau, and you can see there he's over the halfway line, you know, quite a bit, which is you know, when Villa are playing well and we're dominating a game, that's where Pau Torres is going to be. So that was good to see. It was quite wide at times. Obviously linking up with Dean as well. But yeah, I thought Pau had a good game, didn't he?
Yeah, and there was one time when he just stepped out, didn't he? Started dribbling, and I was just like, Pau's away. You know, that was really good. So this graphic, I have no idea what's going on in this graphic. So you can explain to me what's happening. I know this is a new one that you're working on. So what's going on here?
So I've called this areas of influence, and it's basically taken so the touch maps that we've seen for each player. I've given the little bubble around where they've had the majority of their touches. I've basically taken those bubbles from each player and just overlaid them onto one pitch. And I just thought it was interesting to see kind of where the Villa team as a whole is covering the pitch. So yeah, did it for the whole team at first, and then broke it down kind of defense first. Then I've got the pivot next. the front four, and it's looking quite complementary, isn't it?
Yeah.
If when you go through from defense through, I think you can see it. There's no one kind of, you watch games at time and you feel like, maybe players are getting in each other's way, but I think everyone held their positions quite well. I think that's what this is showing.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant, and I think I like this one. I think the heart of the team, brilliant, and I think, like you say, you've absolutely smashed it, because there's just so many good graphics in here on what you've done, and it really sort of, what I think's really good is that we can all watch the game, we can all pinpoint and think, oh, he had a good game, or that was good. But when you start looking at the stats and you start looking at the positions of the team, and your eyes start sort of merging with what your brain's seen from these stats, and it all forms together. And it was just a really good performance. And I think, what an opening day performance, that, sometimes you can watch games where you might watch teams and they'll smash and grab it, or they'll shit house a game, and whereas when you're watching your team play and you're seeing controlled possession, you're seeing positionally players exactly where you want them to be, it makes it look really easy, and it's not easy. It's well drilled coaching, players knowing their exact role, game plans coming into fruition as well. And I just think, for a starting point for Villa on the opening day, going into like the next game, confidence levels, players sort of, and what I think is going to have been massive this week especially, is that all of those new players that start sitting down with Emery in those long meetings, and they listen to him talking, and then when things start happening on the football pitch that they're resonating with, and then they're evaluating their performance, you end up just thinking, like, are they just being hypnotized in these meetings? And like, they're just going on the pitch and like doing because it's absolutely fantastic. And I think, confidence wise now, brilliant opening day, grow into it. Players are going to get better and better. Performances are going to get better. And I think for me, especially, there's a lot of things that I saw against West Ham that have been little tickers in my mind, like set pieces, Onana, Rodgers, Duran, Bailey, that there was a lot of positives. And when I was doing some of the graphics and sort of getting the still images, you said to me that the concert recovery at the end was very, very important. So we've got to give a massive shout out, and I'll let you give Conte some praise here, because it felt like at the end of the game, all West Ham had in them was just get balls in the box, didn't it?
Well, I'll get on to Conte, but first of all, I've got to give a shout out to all 5 subs. I don't know if someone can tell me in the comments or whatever, what was the average age of those 5 subs, because the amount of faith we've put into, they're basically the match winners. They're coming on to finish the game, aren't they? And for the players that age to come in and hold on and grind out and get the win, unbelievable. And that's a massive confidence booster for all them as well, because they're going to play a big part this season, and they've already, all 5 of them, come in and got some good minutes, confidence building minutes. But yeah, like I say, with this Conte block here, for me, this is as good as a goal. As good as a goal, honestly, because 9 times out of 10, Souček will score this chance. If you look at the XG and all that kind of stuff, this will be for the shot, and then you have the second chance as well. It'll be well over 1. So they should have scored right here. And yeah, so this block from Conte saved us got us 2 points, an extra 2 points, got the full 3 points here. Honestly, as good as a goal.
heroic defending. And yeah, subs and like Ramsey, he came on and he was brilliant. He put in a monster performance off the bench. He didn't hide. He was there. And I think Ramsey was top quality. And we got to talk about the Maverick before we go. What a performance leading the line. As the game was getting towards 60 or whenever he came on, I was thinking, Watkins was looking a little bit jaded. I think that's understandable. No preseason. He was probably blowing when he came off the pitch because, his levels just aren't there fitness wise. But Duran, what a performance he put in. I mean, he just led the line so well, didn't he? And he even had that chance before he scored where he probably should have scored. And I think when you start adding up all these chances here and you're thinking, Martin, how many saves did Martinez make? And I can show you all these clear-cut chances here that we had. So on another day, it could have been 4 or 5 for Villa. But Duran must have been chuffed with his performance.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to think. I think that's probably his most mature performance in a Villa shirt as well. He came on and he still, he still caused some trouble, and we call him Captain Chaos and all this kind of stuff, don't we? But I thought it was quite a mature performance from him. There wasn't anything like too rash or reckless. I don't think he got a yellow card. Can't remember. But yeah, his hold-up play was good. He's, he made some good runs. We saw from the goal as well. I liked how he kind of went into that offside position and then came back once the defense had kind of switched off or thought he wasn't a threat. He had the other chance as well, where he probably could have squared it to Ramsey. But honestly, you want your striker taking that, don't you? You want him, having that confidence. And on another day, he scores that. So I thought it was a good performance to Duran. And my hot take was double-digit goals, wasn't it? So 1 down, 9 to go.
Yeah, mate, he's on his way. He's in line to start against Arsenal, I think. But yeah, he was class and just what a performance. And yeah, it's been really nice to analyse it really because there's a lot of positives out there, and there's a lot for us to build on, a lot to grow on. And yeah, it's been good seeing Premier League back, opening weekend, enjoyed it. So do you have any sort of like final thoughts on the Villa?
Yeah, I think, I don't know if we've forgotten everyone, but I think there was positives to say about everyone from that game. And the main positive is it was a good performance, but that wasn't the best Villa that we'll see this season. And that is exciting for me.
I think we'll end it there then. So that is the tactical debrief with Earl, avfc Scout. I'll tag his socials in the description of the video. Go and share and show it some love as well, and show your support to Earl. That's how you can do that for him as well. So hopefully everybody has enjoyed the episode. We'll be back in the week for all of our Arsenal content that will be starting up. And yeah, up the Villa.
Up the Villa.